Hello everyone, I'm going to be presenting today on managed care. The article I'll be referencing, titled "The Few Winners from Medicaid Shifts to Managed Care," briefly explains managed care and its benefits for low-income U.S. residents who most of the time find health insurance quite expensive. So to begin, I'll briefly introduce managed care and what it entails. So in our textbook, directly from the textbook, it says managed care is the provision of comprehensive healthcare services coordinated by a third party with the goal of improving an individual's access to quality medical services and preventative care while increasing efficiency and cost effectiveness. So managed care is pretty much about saving money while providing effective and quality healthcare service at the same time. So by allowing for physical checkups and preventative care visits, providers are usually able to identify problems before they become too complicated to handle. This way, they can reduce the cost of treatments greatly in the future if they're to become too complicated to manage. So there are three types of managed care plans. There's the HMO, PPO, and POS, and I explained each of them briefly in my summary in the forum. So, to the article that I found, it pretty much reiterates the benefits of managed care as health insurance for the low-income population in the United States. Because traditional Medicaid model uses a fee-for-service model, visits or hospitalizations often lead to unpredictable costs, which puts a huge financial burden on, in this case, in this article, low-income patients, who sometimes don't even know when doctors are prescribing or ordering tests that are not really needed or on their behalf. They don't know enough to say, oh, isn't this too expensive? How am I going to be able to pay for this? So to have a better handle on this, managed care programs pay a fixed amount for each member, so the payer can manage and coordinate their healthcare costs in a more predictable manner. So in this new method of managing patient care, managed care organizations are encouraged to provide more effective services due to the fixed budgets and the pressure to prevent unnecessary healthcare costs. So having regular checkups help to maintain patients' health, and if in the case that a physician orders any tests, that physician will have to prove that having these tests is necessary and for the patient, and it should overall benefit the patient's treatment plan. So if there's no need for it, the doctor shouldn't be prescribing all these expensive tests. And so any test that the physician orders should be proven that the patient needs this before the payer will pay for it. So there are 5 ways to use managed care organizations to its greatest capabilities. First, you have to know the patient. Know your patients. Most of the time, patients have the choice to choose what managed care organization plan that they want, and they have the liberty to choose and switch to other plans should they feel like or believe that they're not receiving adequate care. Payers have to know the unique needs of each age population that they service, and they also have to cater to those needs. Managing risk. The second one is managing risk with the newer populations. So managing risks should be catered to each population, as I said, and managed care organizations should be able to understand their population and what triggers their hospitalizations. That is, that they have to be able to identify preventable episodes and also develop plans to prevent and treat those episodes. The second one is constructing networks and incentives that support managed care models. So also knowing the needs of the patients is not enough. Providers also need to make sure that they're playing their part by being accessible to these patients in rural areas, wherever they are. Providers have to be proactive in following up with their patients and knowing their needs and making sure that they're on track with their treatment plans and managing their care. Managed care organizations are also being challenged to provide services that they previously hadn't focused much on. So they're having to be in charge of delivering new services, services such as behavioral health and long-term care. Being that these services are usually more complex, payers are having to develop a way to incorporate these services and coordinate them with medical services to make sure that they reach out to all populations and cater to all population needs. Finally, they were having to build a culture of compliance. Being compliant and understanding the criteria within specific networks determines the success rate for managed care organizations. To avoid infractions, payers as well as providers need to be able to work diligently to provide accurate, effective, and also quality care that benefits the patients in the long run. Managed care organizations should actively know the needs of their members and continuously develop ways to stay helpful and compliant to their patients. So managed care is only going to become bigger as time comes because the more we age, the more we would need to find ways to control healthcare costs. So does managed care actually work? I believe so because being that part of its goal is to control costs, managed care actually does a great job at controlling unnecessary costs that come with it. Payers most of the time would need to evaluate the need and appropriateness of any treatment plan on a case by case basis. So an example of this is members of a managed care program will usually pay less for generic drugs than they do for branded drugs, right? So both drugs have the same effect, but the generic one actually costs far less. So I believe this is a great motive because managed care's efforts are valid because it balances saving costs while providing efficient care at the same time. All right, thank you all for tuning in. I can answer any questions regarding this presentation about managed care and down below in the forums. Thank you.